Okay, so good morning to you all. So during the last class, we discussed about the application of ICT in medical field, right? In health sector. So in health sector, ICT is applied in a number of ways, but we have taken some of the most common applications, right? Hope you remember those devices which I mentioned, right? There may be so many devices, but I have taken some of the most important devices. In addition to those devices, I have explained about the term telemedicine. So it is also important. Telemedicine is not an instrument, or it is not an equipment. It is a process, or it is a technology which is used in medical field. So before we start the today's proceedings, let me ask some questions to clarify whether you understood everything clearly from the very beginning. I don't have many questions. I have few questions. In fact, 3 or 4 questions. Hope everyone prepares for that, because as I told you earlier, you have to listen to me during the class carefully. That is more than enough. I don't expect you to go back and study the things. Okay, so I will name the student. So wait until I name it. So I have few questions. Okay, so let's start. So starting with the data and information. Okay, so my first question is, give two differences between data and information, right? Two differences between data and information. So who is it? Bhavanuja. Bhavanuja. I repeat my question. Two differences between data and information. Bhavanuja, you have to answer. Please be prepared for class, right? So before you come to the class, try spending some time in preparing. Bhavitra?
Yes, sir.
So what are the differences? Two differences.
Meaningless, meaningful.
Which is meaningful, which is meaningless?
Data is meaningless. Information is meaningful.
Okay, what is the other one?
Unprocessed things. Information is processed data.
Okay, right. So there may be number of differences, but the most important difference is information is processed data, but data are raw material, which means they are unprocessed thing. The second one is information is meaningful, data is meaningless, right? Okay. And you can say that information can be used for making decision, but a data can't be. So my second question, give three characteristics of a good information, right? Three characteristics of a good information. Who is it? Sankirtan C.
Easy to understand.
Okay.
Timeliness.
Timeliness.
Accurate.
Accurate, right? So a good information has number of characteristics. Yes, it must be available on time, so that is timeliness. Everyone can understand. It cannot be complex. That is another one. Yes, it must be correct, accurate. So in addition to these three, there may be some other characteristics too, right? We discussed. It must be complete information. There must be relevant thing, relevancy, cost effectiveness. So there are some. Okay, right. Question number 3. Why ICT is used in all the fields in our society, right? So what is the reason for using ICT in all the fields in our society? Who is it? Madhi Verman. Madhi Verman.
Fast result.
Okay.
Perfect answer.
All right. So yes, first one, ICT provides fast solution. Speed is solution for our day-to-day life problems. The second reason is it is perfect. It is accurate. Those devices never show incorrect result, right? So these are the two major reasons for having ICT in every field, right? Okay, my final question. Okay, I will tell that first. So we talked about the application of ICT in medical field, in health sector. Give me one similarity and one difference between these two scanners, between CT scanner and MRI scanner. I repeat it, one difference between CT and MRI, and also one similarity. Who is it? Swetika. Swetika.
Yes, sir.
So give me one similarity and one difference between MRI and CT. Tell me the similarity first, similar
Sorry,
characteristic.
sir, it's my first class.
All right. Jasmida. Jasmida.
Sir, similarity scanning the internal organs of the whole body.
Okay. Difference.
Differences MRI is strong magnetic field and radio waves, but CT is no radio waves and magnetic fields as X-rays.
Yes, good. So that is the answer so when it comes to similarity, both can be used for scanning the internal organs. Maybe the type of organs which we use, which we scan may be different, right? But both CT and MRI are used for same purpose. But the difference, CT scanner uses X-rays for scanning, but MRI is for MRI is using magnetic waves as well as radio waves. That may be the major difference. Even you can say that MRI can give some descriptions or detailed pictures of your internal organ, but CT doesn't. So there may be some, but I wanted these two. Okay, right. So these are the things which I wanted to remind. So try preparing for the classes every day, right? You don't need to spend time for preparation. Listen to me carefully during the class. That is more than enough, because I don't want to take you in a hurry. So I'm going in a normal pace, so you can easily catch those things. All right, so let's start. So we talked about medicine, and we also discussed all the applications in medicine, most of the important applications, right? So let's move to the other field and take the applications of ICT in there, right? So here I will take the agriculture field. So the field agriculture is also benefited from ICT. You can see, even though Sri Lanka is not a developed, agricultural country, ICT is there in agriculture too. So ICT is used in numerous ways, like medical, right? So let's take one by one. So without explaining, I will show some of the applications directly, then only you can understand. Have a look at that first. Right, look here. So we have a device called automatic insect controller. Look, so automatic insect controller. So look, this is for identifying the insect movements and maybe its density. For example, if you take a farming land, insect is always a problem. They can easily affect your crops. So definitely they have to be monitored. They have to be controlled. So you can see, this is the device which I'm talking about. This has to be fitted in on a tree or somewhere, right? So this can monitor or supervise the movement of the insects and immediately transfer such information to the computers which are connected to this one. It may be even you can connect this with the mobile phone. So while you're at home, you can easily monitor your surroundings or your farming lands, and you can understand whether the movement of insect is very high or not. So this is how it works. So you can connect with your mobile phone or maybe tablet or computer with the help of wireless technologies, internet. Right, so it may not be. It may not be available here because we don't have such technologies, high technologies. But mostly, it is very, very useful for big lands, because if it's a big land, insect can affect your land within minutes. So definitely, it must be controlled. So this is the most important device. Okay. So look here, look at the description which I have given. It displays on screen the density of insect population, its growth and movement. So you can see the density and also the movement, everything is there. So definitely you can take some actions to control such thing. Okay, so this is the first one. Second, drip irrigation. Listen. So it is related, irrigation, which means a water supply or something. So when it comes to water supply, it is always a problem, because if you have a big land, you need to supply water for every day. So it is very tough. And also sometimes if you, both can happen. Sometimes if you don't water, the land becomes dry. But if you water every day, sometimes there may be some problems for water, lack of water there. You can waste your water. So both are problems. So you have lack of water sometimes. Sometimes the land becomes dry. So in order to overcome such issues, we can use a small technology called drip irrigation. So here. There we use a small device for supplying the water. So here the water is supplied as drops, small drop. So which means, and also more importantly, the drop can go to the root of the tree or plant directly. So it never be wasted. Generally, if you take a farming land, water is everywhere. So which means you are wasting your water. But here, the water will be directly sent to the root as drops. So throughout the day, the water is there, right, as drop. So you can make sure that the plant receives the water all the time. So there is no dryness, and also there is no water wastage, because you are supplying the water in drops. So there is no issue at all. To do that, there may be pipelines, right? Pipelines set up in farmlands, and every pipeline has a small hole closer to the plant. Right? Through that small hole, the water is supplied as a drip. But here ICT is used because when it comes to water supply, they need some mechanism in order to mix the I mean the minerals and other things. You know, mineral must be important for the growth of the plant. So they have to mix the water and the minerals in a right percentage for supplying. So they use some ICT machines there in order to do that. You can see such images. This is the one which I'm talking about. As you can see, the pipelines are set up, and each pipeline has a small hole closer to the plant, right? Through that, water is supplied. Have you understood? So here, don't think that it is a traditional method. Yes, it is a traditional method. Even without ICT, this can be used. But we are taking this one as an application of ICT because here ICT used in the form of machine for mixing the waters and minerals for supplying, right? So that may be the reason why it is taken as ICT application. Okay, so this is drip irrigation. Have a look at this. These devices control the supply of water as per the data fed. Wastage of water and destruction of crops due to lack of water, due to lack of water supply are minimized by the use of these devices. Okay, so here, hope you understood my point. Here, there is no water wastage because water is supplied as drops. And also, your plant never be destroyed because of the dryness, right? Because every time, maybe for every single minute, it receives the water. So there is no issue. It is always wet, and also there is no water waste. Okay, so this is called drip irrigation. If you have any questions, ask me, right? If you think that it is something difficult to understand, you can ask me at any point. Look. Right, then greenhouse. You know, greenhouse is a common site. Even greenhouse can be used for our traditional. It can be used as a traditional method too. But we are talking about greenhouse, modern greenhouses, because it is an application of ICT. So definitely it must have some ICT equipment, so ICT applications. I don't want to explain the traditional greenhouse which we are familiar, right? Okay, look here. So can anyone tell me the reason for having greenhouses? What's the reason for building greenhouses? It's science, right? So tell me. Anybody? Why greenhouses? You might have studied in science.
To protect from natural disasters.
Yes, maybe that greenhouse is an ideal place for growing plants. Yes, as you can see, it can prevent your plant from some unwanted things, from some environmental factors. So that may be the best place to grow plants. So because it has, have a look at this, it can have a good, I mean, moisture there, maybe sunlight, right? The ventilation, the air. So everything must be, everything is there in an appropriate manner, in a perfect manner. So that may be the reason why plants are grown inside of the greenhouse. But if it is an external world, you can see that there may be heavy rainfall, maybe fast wind. So there may be so many problems. So those natural things or natural factors can affect your plant. But here, they are controlled. In order to control such thing, you know, in a traditional greenhouse, we don't have any new thing. All you had is that green colored roof or something, maybe green colored net or something. But here, in the modern greenhouses, they use some ICT equipments for controlling such parameters. For controlling the sunlight, they use some devices. Maybe for controlling the wind or that moisture, so they use ICT equipment. So that's why it is one of the applications. As you can see here, have a look at this picture. So there are some devices fitted on the roof and on some sides in order to control such environmental things. Okay, so this is another one, greenhouse. Right, next, crop harvesting using robotics. So this is another one, harvesting. You know, harvesting is difficult because you may have thousands of plants in your land. So you cannot harvest them in a single night or single day. And also you need hundreds of laborers or employees to harvest. But if you use ICT applications in the form of robotic, you can harvest them quickly, and also you don't need to have thousands of workers. Look here. So I'm showing some pictures of crop harvesting using robotics. So here, as you can see, this robotic is plucking fruit, right? So it is an automated action, automatic action. There is no human involvement. It can identify the fruit. It can recognize that it is a fruit or not. So when it is in a good state, it can be plucked. So you can see some cameras are fitted there, and also it can touch for deciding whether it is a fruit or not. So as a human being, before we decide something as a fruit or not, right, you have to see that. So say if it is mango, we see the color and decide, okay, it is a good time to pluck. So sometimes we touch it. So for some fruit, we touch that, and by touching that, we can understand that it is the time to pluck. So similarly, these robotics, receive such instructions automatically. Scientists gave those instructions to the robotic. So with the help of those instructions, robotic can identify and pluck it. And also you can see another one. So this is plucking an apple or something. So it is possible. Okay, so harvesting using robotic is one of the application. But I hope that it is possible in developed countries, because it's expensive, and also when you have big lands, farming lands, it may be very useful, right? So in agriculture countries, it is very popular. Don't think that it is only for fruits. It can be used for any other things. And even here in our areas, farmers use harvesting machine for harvesting the paddy field. That may be one of the application of ICT, but it is not automated. There may be people operated and something, but still we can argue that it is a kind of application, right? All right, so this is crop harvesting. Then automatic weed removal. So weed is a problem for your farming land. So they can affect your plants. So you need to identify the weed and remove them. Again, it is tough because you have a land which can span for acres. So you cannot go there and remove the weed, right? It is tough. And also identifying the weed also sometimes hard. You cannot recognize whether it is a plant or whether it is a weed. So it is tough. But if you use an automatic machine like this, they can identify the weed automatically. So because instructions are already given to those machines about how to identify the weed. So they use those instructions and remove the weed only. So they can roll over the land. As you can see, now it is moving along with the land. So there may be some path for moving. So that's how they plant them, right? So it moves. So when it moves, you can see some metal hands or something. There may be some instrument there. They touch the plant as well as weed. So when they recognize that they are the weed, they are immediately removed. So some computing instructions, computer related equipments must be inside. Then only they know how to handle or how to identify wheat. Have you understood? So it looks like a machine, but it is able to identify the wheat. How it's possible? So there may be some instructions given to the machine about how to identify the wheat. So that is nothing. That is ICT. Definitely, it must have an robotic, some sort of robotic and computer combination there. But it seems to be a machine. But inside, we have some computing technology. That is automatic weed removal. Okay, look here. This machine runs through the field and remove the weeds as per instructions provided. This is important. Look here. So they identify because they have been fed the instructions, right? So what are the instructions or what they are about? So those instructions are about how to identify the crop, weed. So as per instructions provided, identifying the crops and weeds separately. Okay, so this is important. This is called automatic weed remover. This can work automatically without the involvement of human. Then field conditions measuring devices. You know, before we start farming in a place, we must check the status of the land, that fertility. We have to check because you cannot farm in all the places because some soil are not appropriate, not perfect for growing plants. You can see such things in your surrounding. In some areas, some plants are growing in a healthier manner, but in some areas you cannot grow any plants. It is because of the fertility, maybe the status of the soil. So before we start planting, we need to understand the soil. We need to study about the soil. So here we use a machine called field condition measuring device. As the name implies, it can check the field conditions, right? Whether the field is appropriate to grow, right? Look here, these devices help in measuring various parameters such as fertility and humidity levels of soil, mainly fertility. Right, so it checks whether it has enough fertility. So based on that result, farmers can decide whether to farm or whether not to farm. Okay, so this is how that device looks like. So there may be a small part there that must be plugged in the soil, and this device shows the reading. Right, there is a reading about fertility and humidity level. So they can see the numbers and make decisions. Okay, so field condition measuring device. Then this is a very common side. You can see such things. Meteorological devices, especially for meteorological department. That is a department for forecasting the weather. For forecasting the weather, they need to gather or they need to collect so many things, so many parameters of environment, such as rainfall, wind speed, right? So earlier, maybe years ago, decades ago, they used some traditional methods to take the rainfall or wind speed. So they use traditional method. But now, things changed. We are living in a modern world with so much of ICT equipments. So definitely here also ICT is used for collecting various parameters. Look here, rainfall, maybe wind direction, even whatever you want, right? When it comes to weather report, weather report is there. Weather report includes so many things about weather. So for all these things, ICT is there. Even before they forecast about a tsunami, they need to collect data. They cannot collect manually. So they use ICT equipments, right? They use sensors, maybe under the sea. Those sensors capture the result of the earthquake and immediately transfers those data to the computers, and they decide whether tsunami takes place or not. So all these things related to meteorological devices. Okay, so I have shown some of the photograph here. So they are some of the ICT applications. Okay, so it is used to access the weather climate changes, rainfall, wind direction, etc. Okay, right. So last one. Seedlings plant using robotics. Earlier we talked about harvesting. I mentioned harvesting is tough because you have lands which can span for acres, hundreds of acres. So it is too big. So going in a big land and harvesting is difficult. So you took the help of the robotics. Similarly, go back and think it is harvesting time. So what about the plantation time? That is also very tough, right? Because you have to plant in hundreds of acres. So you need thousands of workers and also you need days, maybe months. So both are difficult. So even here also they use robotics. So robotics can plant the crops automatically without the human involvement, without any human interaction, they can do that. Here I have shown two photographs here. Look here, there is a robotic which is carrying a small plant. It can carry and put it in the right place. You don't need to guide it. It can go according to the instructions and put it in the right place. And see, there is another robotic technology. It seems to be a machine. Okay, it's a machine, but machine itself is a robotic. If it has some automated actions and if it works according to the instruction fed, definitely it is a robotic. So now, as you can see, this robotic technology or this machine plants the crops. You can see while it is moving, 4 plants are planted at the same time. According to the picture, it seems to be like that. You can see already plants are fed into the machine, right? It moves. When it moves, in a row, 4 plants are planted. All you need to do is just supervise the things. You don't need to dig the ground and put the plants. Everything is done by the machine. So this may be very useful for big lands, because in a big land you cannot use a robotic like this. One by one you cannot. So you may use even look here in the big machine, you may have thousands of plants. You have to arrange them in the machine, but while it is moving, that plantation takes place one by one. Maybe here, according to this picture, in a row, 4 or 5 plants, 4 plants are planted. But if it is a big machine, sometimes while it is moving, there may be 10 or 20 plants in a row. So with some hours or with some minutes, you can complete your plantation in a big land. So this is another application, seedlings plantation using robotics. Look here. These robotic machines are used in large fields to carry seedlings across the field and to plant them in an orderly manner. So it looks tidy. So because they are machines, they never make mistakes. They receive the instructions. So according to the instruction, they work. All right. So these are the applications of ICT in agriculture. Again, there may be so many applications available, but I have taken the applications which are mentioned in your syllabus. Okay, so let's take them again. The first one, automated insect controller. What is it? It is a device which shows the insect movement and the density on the screen of the computer or mobile phone, right? Drip irrigation. So this technology or this mechanism supplies the water as drops. Okay. So what are the advantages of drip irrigation? There may not be any water wastages, and also the land never become as dry. Greenhouse. So ICT is used in greenhouses for controlling some parameters such as moisture, maybe air, sunlight. So that is greenhouse. You know, greenhouse is an ideal place to grow plants. Crop harvesting using robotics. So here, harvesting is carried out automatically by robotics. So robotics receive the instructions about how to identify the identifying the right time, or how to identify the fruits and other things, and they pluck on the right time. Automated weed remover. This machine identifies the weeds and removes them automatically. So they have the ability about how to differentiate the weed and the plants. Field condition measuring device. This device measures the fertility and the humidity level of the soil. Before we start farming, we have to check the soil status. Finally, meteorological devices. So for forecasting the weather report, you need some weather factors such as wind speed, rainfall. So they are collected by using some devices. Last one is plantation using robotics. So here ICT is used for planting the plants. Okay, right. So these are the applications of ICT. Have you understood any problems in understanding these applications? If you have any questions about these devices, you can ask me. I can give you some seconds or minutes. Any doubts? You all understood, right? Okay. So let's take the third field. So as I told you earlier, I could have finished all these fields in a single day. That is possible, right? I can finish that. But I'm taking some time because you should understand those machines and how they work, such thing. Even though they are not asked in exam, you should understand such things. So that may be the reason why I'm taking enough time. Okay, let's move to the third sector. So far we have finished medical sector and agriculture sector. Okay, let's take the third one. Farmhouse, right? So I take the farmhouse separate as because farmhouse is something different than agriculture, right? Because agriculture is all about growing plants and other things, right? Now look, in a farmhouse, you have your animals, right? So there must be some high technologies needed. Look, we have 3 or 4 technologies. Take the first one. Let me take the first one. Radio frequency identification device, RFID. Radio frequency identification device, RFID. Look, so actually RFID is a technology which can be used everywhere, not only in farmhouses. It can be used in schools and other things. Later I will come to the RFID in school, but here RFID technology is used in farmhouses in order to identify or in order to count the animals. Look here. Generally, I tell you how this RFID works. I explain that. So generally, if you want to identify or if you want to count those animals, you need to add a small tag on that particular animal. You can see some of the yellow color tags added on the animal, right? Mostly they add them in the ears, because inner part of the ear may be the safest place. Animal never destroy that. But if you fit them in other parts of the body, definitely they can be demolished, right? Animal can drag them on the wall or somewhere, so they can be affected. But you know, inside part of the ear may be a place which cannot be accessed by the animal. So small tag, as you can see, fitted inside of the animal, inside of the cow. Even in our area also you can see that. So this is a tag, small card, right? Small card, which may have some information about this cow. There may be a number given to the cow, maybe its weight, maybe its age, right? Maybe its color. So some information about this animal can be fed to this tag. This tag can be monitored or can be accessed by a device from distances. Even you can access it from your mobile phone, right? If you use a mobile phone, smartphone, from your smartphone, this RFID tag can be accessed, right? There may be a radio frequency used. By using such technologies, you can access that. By accessing that particular animal, now, so think about the farmhouse, there may be thousands of cows. Every day you have to check whether each cow is safe in the home, in the house, because sometimes it is possible for, stealing, right? Some people can steal them. Sometimes some cows can be died. That is possible. I'm talking about a big farm. You cannot supervise all these thousands of cows. And so you need to identify, you need to count. So while you are at the home or maybe inside of the farmhouse, you can get connected to the cow and check it. You don't need to go outside and check each and every cow one by one. Right? You can check the cows, you can identify them by RFID technology with the smartphone. Have you understood? So this is very, very popular in counting the figures. Here we are counting the animal. Even you can count the birds too. If it is if it is forest, sometimes you can see some rare birds have a small tag, RFID tag. So those forest departments, they want to, if they want to count such things, they can catch those birds, maybe in a small age, and fit that tag on the ear or somewhere. So after that, they can be monitored. Okay. So RFID is for identifying or counting the cows. Okay. But try understanding the technology. You should understand how it works. So remembering this phrase is not enough. I know that you can easily memorize that, right? Identifying them and counting the number of cows or something. That is okay for exam. But in addition to that, try understanding the mechanism, right? How it works. So there is a RFID tag is fitted in the ear. It has some information, especially a unique number for each cow. This RFID tag can be read by your smartphone. So while you are at home, while you are inside of your farmhouse, you can monitor, you can count the animals. Okay, so this is RFID. So if you are living in a city, mostly your cows must have such things. Okay, even for farmhouse also it is possible, right? So I have shown how this mechanism works. Actually, this is not important, but this is how it works. This is not important. It is for big areas. Right. Then we have another technology for checking or inspecting the health condition of the cow as well as milking. So look at the name of the machine. Automated milking and examination of cows. So this phrase includes two things: automated milking and examining the health status. So here, as you can see, this machine can inspect the status, medical status, health status of the cows continuously. And also it has the ability to milk automatically. So you can see that that particular cow is inside of the machine. There may be so many devices fitted. So they monitor or they check the health status. If the cow in a good status, that milking takes place. It is an automatic action, you know. It is always hard, right? So you have thousands of cows, you need to milk every day. So taking milk manually, it is tough. So they use such mechanism. They monitor the cows, they inspect the cow in terms of health status, and also they have the ability for automated milking. Okay, I read it out, that description. It helps to monitor the health status of cows and the quality of milk. This also helps in milking cows. Okay, right. Because if the cow is not in a good status, not health, it is not healthy, definitely, you know, it is not good to take milk. So before taking milk, you have to check the condition, health condition, right? So that health condition is automatically checked, right? Right. Then, you know, this is very common using CCTV, closed circuit television. So, you know, CCTV is everywhere. Even you can say that CCTV can be useful for business, maybe for education. So everywhere we can use it. But using CCTV is focuses on one purpose, right? So it doesn't matter if you use CCTV in agriculture or farmhouse or business, the purpose is always same. What is it? It is protection, it is security. So if you use CCTV in farmhouses, you can have, or you can ensure the security, because the surroundings or maybe the environment of the farmhouse is monitored all the time, 24/7. So you can check whether cows are in a good status. Sometimes they may fight each other, so you can easily observe and stop them, and thieves can steal them, right? So all these things can be prevented. Okay, so CCTVs protect farmhouses from the animals and thieves. The farm can be monitored far away from the farm using internet. You know, that is also possible. If you use CCTV, you don't need to be in the farmhouse for monitoring. Right? Even while you're at home, you can see the things which are happening in your farm, because internet helps. With the help of internet technology, you can see the live videos which are sending from your cameras, CCTV cameras, from in any place. Those videos can be displayed on your mobile phone too. Okay, so CCTV is very best for security, for providing security. So this is, I have shown a small photograph. So that farmhouse is monitored by CCTV there. Okay, so finally, farm management. So farm management includes several things. You know, the term management has so many things. So, you know, manager, right? Manager is a person who does so many things. He is the person, or she is the person to do or to manage that particular institution, which means he has to check all these, day-to-day activities and maybe future improvement. So he does everything. So that's here also. Farm management means it includes many things. Maybe taking the attendance of the employees every day. You know, attendance must be taken. There may be so many workers employed, right? So all these employees' attendance may be taken. So they may use fingerprint readers and other things. And even, you know, the salary of those employees must be prepared. So they use computers, some special programs for, preparing the salary. So that is also ICT. Even farmhouse, they immediately, they have to check the global status of farms. Right, they have to check whether some new technology is available or not. So they have to check internet and everything. So everything is ICT. Have you understood? So this includes so many things. So they have to find their profit lost. So they need some softwares inside and calculate. So farm management includes all these things. Have a look at the description. Using laptops, tabs, and smartphones for many applications, such as calculations of profit lost, save salary, use of internet, etc. There may be many. Okay, so farmhouse is nothing. It's a kind of organization. Looks like a school. So you need to do, it seems to be a place where you have animals, but you know, there should be a management. You have workers, right? So you have to do some accounting works, and also it is a business. So you need to be updated with the global, right? So everything is important. So these are the applications in agriculture, farmhouse. Take them. I have mentioned 4. Look at the first one. Radio frequency identification device. What is it? It is a technology for identifying or counting the animals in a farmhouse. Okay. Automated milking, right? So this machine can check the health status of the cows, and also it can milk automatically. CCTV, these cameras or this technology is used for monitoring and supervising the surroundings of the farmhouse. Farm management, for managing the day-to-day activities of the farm, ICT is very important. So this farm management includes several things: taking the attendance of the employee, preparing the salary of the employee, calculating the profit and loss of the farmhouse. So there may be so many things included. So they use internet, smartphones, some special programs. All these things are ICT applications. Okay. So then we have to move to fishing. Any problems in understanding these things? Does anyone have any problems, any issues? No, right? Right. So let's move to the fishing. Here in fishing, I take only one application. So it is too easy to finish that quickly. Look here. When it comes to fishing, you know, ICT is used in many ways. But generally, when it comes to fishing, identifying the places is very important. So as a fisherman, we have to identify the right place, because not all the places have fish. You cannot catch fish in all the sea. So fish can be available or can be in some areas. So you have to monitor, you have to supervise the sea and find the right place for fishing. Manually, it is tough, right? You cannot check the sea because it's very big area. You cannot move from one place to another and check it. So you can place some sensors under the sea, as you can see on the picture. Some sensors, okay, some sensors can be scattered under the sea. Those sensors are connected to a computer which is in the fishing boat. Have you understood? Sensors are under the sea. All these sensors are connected to the fishing boat. What is sensor? Generally, sensor can sense something. That's the meaning it gets the name, right? That's the reason why it gets the name, sensor, because it has the ability to sense. So simple example, see, while you are entering into a supermarket or maybe a building, you know, that door automatically opens. You don't need to open that manually, that door automatically opens. How it's possible? There is a sensor fitted on the door, or maybe on the top part of the door. That sensor senses your movement. So while it senses a movement, it immediately understands that movement and sends the signal to that particular device to open the door. Not only you, right? Whoever moves towards the door, it works, it opens. It may be you or it may be animal, whatever. Because that particular sensor senses a movement. Have you understood? That is, there are so many sensors for sensing so many parameters. This is a movement sensor. So sometimes there is a sensor for sensing heat. There may be sensors for sensing smoke, right? There may be sensors for sensing temperature. So sensors are in varieties, but here these sensors can sense the movement of fish. So like the movement of dew closer to the door. So see here, when fish in a density, these sensors easily capture the movement and send all this detail to the computer, which is in the fishing boat. So now fishermen can decide that it is the right place to fish. Even you can connect these, sensors with the help of internet and monitor in any other places. You don't need to be in the fishing boat to check, right? Even you may hundreds of kilometers away, you can check it because internet can be used for taking the information. Okay, I explained that again. So sensors are scattered under the sea. All these sensors are connected with the fish, with the computer in the fishing boat, maybe with the wire or wireless. When fish movement is there, they capture the movement and immediately transfer that information to the computer. Then the fisherman decides. If that place doesn't have any fish, these sensors never get any information. So they never send any information to the computer. So fishermen never fish. Okay, so this is how they identify the places. So these sensors are very important. So these are ICT applications. Look at the description. Sensors are placed in different parts of the sea. These sensors send information on fish in the sea to computers in fishing trawlers via internet. Right? So internet can be used even directly also, it is possible, right? So this is ICT application. Okay, so in fishing, we have only one application, that is using sensors for identifying the fish areas. Okay, so again, I tell you this technology is used in fishing boats which have advanced technologies. If you take the fishing boats which are used in our areas, they don't have enough technology. But I'm talking about fishing boats. Fishing boats are there with high technology. So in such boats, this is possible. Okay. So today we have taken 3 sectors. I explained about agriculture. I explained about farmhouse and also finally fishing. Any problems? Okay. So enough for today. Try spending time at home for revising these things. I try to send these soft copies, but don't wait for me. You have the video, so you can view and understand the things. Even listening to me during the class is more than enough. But if you think that it is forgot to know something, take some time and watch it again. Okay, so thank you for we will meet in the next class. Okay.